With the BBI and 2022 politics taking shape, the battle for Kenyan votes is on. However, there is an unlikely player in the ring. A Bible on one hand and reason on the other hand. One Provost Sammy Wainaina is drawing the line. For God to help man, man must help himself. The good provost is on a mission to help show you the way, the truth, and the light, and not just to spiritually, but socially, political, and economically empower you. His sermons form the basis of our show today. Hello there, and welcome to Metropole Debrief. My name is Ndero Oganga.
Koguo tiga kuhegesha andu haha ati kuga ati bilioni igiri ni ikuhuthika tiga guka haha kuhegesha iria maiyaga o muthenya ni ikirite bilioni icio igiri andu aya ni buri.
This angry, passionate and somewhat helpless plea looked like the president's last attempt to defend the disarray in his administration. It also sounded like a last attempt to get Kenyans on his side and reclaim his power. However, this time round, the message was the last nail on the coffin for Kenyans. KOT did not miss a beat to roast the political class, but that fire is nothing compared to the Holy Ghost fire that Provost Sammy Wainaina of the All Saints Cathedral set on the Jubilee administration and its friends.
When a whole president confesses that 2 billion shillings are lost, believe it, it's true. Mr. President, thank you for the confession that we are all thieves minus opportunities. But what does that tell you? Mr. President, you have the EACC, you have the DPP, you have the NIS, you have every government machinery at your disposal. Either the government knows who steals the Kenyan money, or the government is part of the stealing.
While the world was battling the COVID-19 pandemic, Kenya's focus was on politics 2 years ahead of the general elections. With the pandemic having exposed the weaknesses in the health system and codependent sectors such as education, logic would dictate that priority of funds be channeled to the sectors. However, the political class had other plans.
Ambia hii watu ya health bwana mvumilie kidogo mpaka hii BBI ikwishe kama italeta vitu mzuri alafu twende mbele.
Please don't start saying this is they are not keeping 1 meter distance. Go and keep it for yourself. By the way, most people don't know that learning under a tree is extremely healthy because the trees remove carbon dioxide and give more oxygen. So don't criminalize the thought of having the children learning outside.
For these remarks, the man of faith, just like Jesus in the temple, cracked the whip. With the BBI branded as the ultimate solution to Kenya's problems, Provost Wainaina used his sermon to, instead of nourishing the spiritual soul of Kenyans, pump some common sense into their heads.
We can have money for BBI, but we have no money to build schools that our children learn under the trees. Then the CS talks about it is good for oxygen. We don't lack oxygen even in classes. Our counties cannot receive 15% of the allocation, which is constitutional. Then you want to argue to me that the BBI comes and solves all your problems and gives you 35. If you can't give 15, how do you give 35?
With questions raised over the benefits of the BBI, politicians have constantly defended the document, saying it will create jobs and foster cohesion and inclusion. However, holes have been poked in the way the BBI is supposed to do that.
I want to tell you how directly we are going to create almost 30,000 employment. Tukipata wamama 100 wakiongezwa kwa bunge. Hiyo ni employment, hiyo si employment.
Employment.
And every member of parliament employs at least 30 people. 30 times 100 ni ngapi? Ni ngapi?
Provost Wainaina was not hesitant to rebuke the notion that politicians should eat first and then Kenyans nibble on the remnants.
Let me remind Kenyans that when your tribal man becomes the president or takes the 5 top seats, as per the proposal of the BBI, you will remain poor. Ask those people, those tribes that have produced presidents, have they benefited from it? No, they're even poorer. Politicians have their agenda to eat and loot this country. What we need, we as Kenyans, are opportunities for employment, roads, networks, markets for our produce, quality healthcare, and quality education for every Kenyan.
With the sermon having set not only the All Saints Cathedral but the whole country on holy fire, Provost Wainaina, in finishing his now viral sermon, has called on churches to close the doors of the pulpit to politicians. If it's not earned through the sweat of the brow, the good reverend says it shall not be presented in church as offering.
Churches have opened their podiums to politicians to attack their opponents. Reggae must stop in churches. And I want to tell politicians, in this cathedral, this podium will never be used by you. Let me tell Christian leaders, close your churches to politicians. You are going to destroy this country. And remember, whoever pays the piper calls the tune.
Provost Wainaina, with that sermon, is now known to majority of Kenyans as the man of the cloak that refused to allow politics and its proceeds to stain his robe and stench the pulpit. Well, as the good canon has put it, a line has been drawn. However, previously on Pulpits on Fire, one Reverend Al Sharpton did not hold back his sharp tongue, wit, and painful truths. Following the brutal murder of George Floyd in the streets of Minneapolis over a fake dollar bill, Reverend Al Sharpton used the pulpit to speak the unspoken truth. Now, using his eulogy and sermon during George Floyd's funeral service, Reverend Al Sharpton called out on the justice system in America that worked in favor of white people but against colored people. Listening.
George Floyd's story has been the story of black folks, because ever since 401 years ago, the reason we could never be who we wanted and dreamed to be in is you kept your knee on our neck. We were smarter than the underfunded schools you put us in, but you had your knee on our neck. We could run corporations and not hustle in the street, but you had your knee on our neck. We had creative skills. We could do whatever anybody else could do, but we couldn't get your knee off our neck. What happened to Floyd happens every day in this country, in education, in health services, and in every area of American life. It's time for us to stand up in George's name and say, get your knee off our necks. Because you can't take your knee off our neck. The reason why we're marching all over the world is we were like George. We couldn't breathe, not because there was something wrong with our lungs, but you wouldn't take your knee off our neck. We don't want no favors. Just get up off of us and we can be and do whatever we can be.
Good Reverend there, using the pulpit to draw a line and speak on social injustice. And that's why, after the break, we are joined by Reverend Canon Sammy Wainaina, the Provost of All Saints Cathedral, to discuss the role of religion in politics, governance, and social justice. You don't want to miss that.